Travis here. We are following up on my last week's challenge, which was simply to make a map. Not simply, but to make a map. And I want to show you what I did. My challenge was like to make a map of, it could be anything you wanted. Your backyard, it could be your house, be your neighborhood, but I made a map of sort of my neighborhood. Just a few streets around, and I'm going to show you how I put the map together, because last week we talked about that a map needs a few things. It needs a title, it needs a key or a legend, which explains what the symbols mean on the map. It needs a compass, so you know which is north, south, east, west, and it also needs scale, so you know when you see it on a map, on a piece of paper, how big that really is, what that represents. So I'll show you how I went about doing it. The first thing I did is I got a notebook, I got my bike, and I rode around my neighborhood. And what I did is I held a constant speed when I timed how long it took me from like one street to the next. So for instance, if I was going 15 miles an hour, and it took me 30 seconds to go from one street to another, and then I would go to a different street and I would stay that same speed. I would go 15 miles an hour and I would see how long it took me. So here is my bike journey. I'll let you watch that, and then I'll show you, after I mapped everything out and jotted down notes on how long it took me to get all these streets, how I recreated my map. So after my bike ride, I had to figure out my scale. And how I did that is I rode around my neighborhood at 15 miles an hour, and I timed how long it took me from get to place. So at the top there you can see 1.50. It took me a minute and a half to go that long street. And so I timed it so then I could figure out exactly how many feet things were away from each other, approximately. It's not a perfect count because I couldn't keep the speed exact. So the next thing I had to do is figure out how many feet per second I was going if I was going 15 miles an hour. So I times 15 miles an hour times 5,280. That's how many feet are in a mile. So I was going 79,200 feet per hour. Divide that by 60 to know how many feet per minute. And then divide it by 60 again to figure out that I was traveling at 15 miles an hour, 22 feet per second. So that's how I knew how to start figuring out my scale. So for every second I traveled, I went 22 feet. So the formula I ended up using is I would go 22 feet per second at 15 miles an hour. So my scale ended up being 0.5 millimeters equals 10 feet. 0.5 millimeters on my piece of paper would represent 10 feet. So if I went 30 seconds at 22 feet per second, and that times 0.05 millimeters, 33 millimeters would represent about 30 seconds of travel time. So using that scale, this is how my final map ended up. So in the end, my map ended up being a little smaller than I wanted it to, but it's fairly in scale. So you can see the scale at the bottom, that length equals 1,000 feet, which was 50 centimeters, or yeah, 50 millimeters, sorry. I have a legend. It has my house, the cemetery, a park, streets, and a little store. I have my compass. I have a title. So that's my map. So next week we'll have a whole new challenge, and looking at the compass, which I had to use an app to figure out my north. I'll give you a hint. It has to do with a way that we can make something find direction. So, talk to you next week. Hope you had fun. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to LABrary. I'm Miss Kathleen, and I am excited to share this episode of LABrary with you. In elementary school, you were probably taught about the 5 senses, right? Sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. I would like you to think about your favorite ways to use your senses. I think my favorite taste ever might be the combination of the flavors of pizza. Then again, it could be really good chocolate. Not sure what my favorite flavor is. Luckily, there are lots of them. And my favorite scent is probably the scent of fresh lemons. Do you have a favorite aroma? What about sounds? Do you love the sound of rain on your roof? Or maybe the sound of waves lapping on the beach, at the lake, or at the ocean? Or do you like the sound of birds? Or is there a special kind of music that you prefer? What about your favorite feeling at your fingertips? What do you like? Do you like velvet? Do you like something bumpy, like a favorite sweater? Or do you like the feeling of a smooth stone? What about the feeling of water? Those are all some of my favorite feelings on my fingers. So what about sight? What are your favorite things to look at or your favorite things to see? I love sunsets. Do you like sunsets? Or colorful flowers? How about a baby's smile? Using all of our senses allows us to better understand the world around us, doesn't it? And using the observations that we make, we can also make scientific predictions. Our brains inside our noggins have a different spot that controls or signals each sense. In reality, we can observe a world of other things beyond our 5 senses. So today, we're going to explore beyond our basic 5 senses. Okay, I am going to ask you to do something. Will you please close your eyes for a moment? I'll close mine too. Okay, without looking, do you know where the ends of your fingertips are? What about the tip of your nose? Okay, how do you know this? What sense is that? The term for being able to sense where your own body is located is called proprioception. Proprioception is the perception or the awareness of the position and movement of your body. This sense is really helpful for being able to touch type on a keyboard or play the piano without looking at the keys, eating food out of a bowl while you're watching TV, or a beard, or turning on a light switch in the dark. Are there other ways you can think of that you use this sense, proprioception? Okay, have you ever clasped your hands together, fingers entwined, and had the sense that you're not exactly sure where one finger ends and the other begins? Okay, beyond that, have you ever had someone else lightly touch your fingers while you're doing this, while you're clasping them, and without looking, try to tell which finger is being touched? Try it. It might surprise you. It's pretty fun. Okay, so our challenge for this week is actually a series of challenges. I want you to try out some or all of these activities that I'll describe, okay? And then I hope you'll share them on social media at Meridian LABrary or email your observations to me at Kathleen@mld.org. The point of our challenge this week is to get a good idea of how your body makes sense of the world around it using proprioception. Okay, each of these challenges asks you not to use your eyes. Why do you think that might be? That is so that you can get a proper feel for proprioception without using another sense, the sense of sight, at the same time. Okay, here are our first challenges. First of all, close your eyes and touch the tip of your nose with your finger. Now try it with other body parts. Ask yourself, how do you know where they are when you can't see them? Okay, close your eyes and try to touch the tip of each finger with the corresponding fingertip on the other hand and go through all of the fingers. Okay, close your eyes while you do it. What did you discover? Did you observe anything? Okay, so for these next two challenges, you're going to need a crayon or marker and some paper, okay? All right, you'll need to write a word or draw a simple shape with your eyes open, okay? Just a short word or a simple shape. Write the same word or draw a shape with your eyes shut. Okay, do the words look different? Why or why not? Okay, grab some crayons and paper again and put an X on a paper with a crayon or marker. Now close your eyes again and using a different colored crayon, I want you to try to put an X in the exact same spot. You can have everything ready ahead of time, and you can have your crayon, your separate crayon in the other hand and just pass it to the hand. I want you to see if you can make an X in the same spot. Okay, this next challenge you're going to need a partner for. Ask a family member to do this one with you. It's kind of weird, but you'll like it. Okay, put two chairs facing each other and then sit down in the chairs. You in one chair and someone else in the other chair facing each other. Okay, you need to put on a blindfold. And then you can take turns. Your family member can put on a blindfold the next time. Okay, now gently rub the tip of your own nose to the nose of your other person, your family member. Do it for a little while, and after a while, you should feel like your nose is growing. It's so cool. Why do you think this happens? Okay, last challenge. Raise one arm high in the air above your head so you can't see it. Now, touch the pointer finger on your other hand to the tip of your nose for about 10 seconds. Then try to touch the thumb of your raised hand with the fingertip that was touching your nose. Okay, I'm going to try it. Can you do it? Okay, I didn't quite make it. I touched it right there, so my perception's a little bit off. Okay, those are our challenges for this week. I hope you will have fun trying these out. I really had fun trying them out. And it's just interesting to see how our brain works and how we can perceive things with proprioception. And I think that you'll learn quite a bit about how your own body makes sense of the world around it. And I hope you will share with us what you observe. Thanks so much for joining me today on LABrary. I will see you next time when we'll review what we learned this week and talk about the challenges. Okay, and don't forget to share. Bye.